lot of people question my sexuality because they think that I'm gay because I'm with a trans woman, because yes, she originally was a man, but truly in her heart, she is a woman. So therefore, I feel I am straight.
I've never been less convinced that a guy was straight. You can always tell someone is LARPing because they'll say things that a straight person would never say.
I've never seen a photo of Elena before she was transitioned.
Do you want to?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it, because I love you and it doesn't matter. I love it. That is a handsome man. I will put it out there. I can say a man's handsome. I'm comfortable with my sexuality. That is a handsome man. And if I was a girl, I would go for that guy too.
Right, it's always the guy who's about to do something gay that's like, I'm comfortable with my sexuality. Clearly you aren't, because you're pretending to be something that you're not. I mean, it's fine if he's gay, it's current year, who cares? The only thing people have an issue with is those who try to distort reality or just outright lie to everyone to justify their worldview, especially when you do it in front of kids.
This week is Trans Visibility Week. What does it mean to be visible? Yes, trans people do exist. Do you have to be trans? No, no one is forcing you to be trans. I'm not forcing you to be trans. Do you have to love trans people? No. It'd be cool if you did, but no, you don't have to.
That's a class of middle schoolers, by the way. A math class, because why would you teach math in a math class when there's gender ideology to preach to an impressionable audience? But this guy obviously has never been on Twitter before, because there are tons of videos there of trans people saying that you have to be in a relationship with them or you're a bad person.
If you're cis and you won't date trans folks, you're transphobe.
Well, I guess this one wasn't even that bad. At least it wasn't one of the ones where they threaten to kill you because you have a different opinion. But for that math teacher to pretend that this isn't one of the most radical groups of people trying to force their ideas onto everyone, especially over the past 5 years, is crazy. Fortunately, fatigue has set in and people are just done with it. Also, it turns out that despite the first video that I showed, the trans dating scene isn't the greatest. There's a lot of people who are transitioning and finding out that nobody wants them. And this mostly seems to be due to the fact that instead of sticking with people who are interested, they are hell-bent on forcing themselves into other people's spaces. This is why there have been tons of videos of them going around and saying, no, seriously, it's not gay.
I'm sorry, but as a trans woman, I think straight men need to get behind the idea that dating somebody or being attracted to somebody who is feminine or trans, in my case, does not make you gay.
I don't think it makes you straight either. That's as generous as I can be. Though you can tell this is an issue because it's not that hard to find video after video of them reassuring you that it's not gay or saying, why won't straight men date us? Here's another one.
Apparently some guys aren't willing to date trans girls, but I just don't understand why. Can you even give me one good reason why someone wouldn't like trans girls?
I had to crop the video because his junk was showing. You're welcome. A lot of these people, if not most of them, have all the male biology and they're telling you that it's not gay simply because they're saying that they're a woman. So either this is trolling or this person is extremely self-centered and doesn't understand other people. I mean, it could be trolling. A lot of them do use rage bait to promote their OnlyFans. Anyway, outside of the fact that most of these people are nowhere near passing and are basically just a guy with long hair, even the ones that do pass decently don't act like women. I have yet to see one who has. They are either fully just a dude with a wig with no feminine qualities at all, or they're like a caricature of what a guy thinks a woman is, or they act like catty gay men. They don't actually understand femininity. Also, they can't have kids. That's a pretty big consideration for a relationship. And no amount of coping or reassuring yourself is going to change reality.
Just so we're abundantly clear, trans women are real women, and trans men are real men. Full stop.
They act like this is such an own every time they say it. Well, if it was true, you wouldn't have to keep notifying people because, as they say, any man who must say, I am the king, is no true king. And for all the female allies who are trying to virtue signal and force others to participate in this, tell her that she's so beautiful because she looks just like a trans woman and watch her get pissed. Now, personally, as long as they're adults, I think they can do whatever they want. But don't force it on kids and don't try to bully others into participating. In fact, you can't really force anyone to do something they don't actually want to do. If someone is good at convincing people over to their side, like say if I'm good at convincing you, then it's only because I'm able to tell you how what I want gets you what you want. If you don't follow that process, you aren't going to convince anyone of anything. Unless you use violence. Well, maybe that's the point. Maybe the whole movement is intended to radicalize people. Anyway.
If being trans was a choice, why on earth would someone choose to be a woman in a patriarchal world?
Because it's a fucking fetish, Janet! That's what cross-dressing has
always been about for these men. They're not some poor, vulnerable people oppressed because they're women born into men's bodies. They're men with fetishes. I get aroused when I have gender euphoria. Is that weird? You can go to any of their forums and listen to the things that they say to each other when they think that dumbasses like you aren't listening. At best, these are men who see women as a fetish costume and not as human beings. And at worst, they're men who get off on our discomfort when they invade our spaces, watch us undress, threatening to rape lesbians if they won't suck their girl dicks.
Personally, I think there are certain people who have more honest intentions than others, but also, let's not ignore the elephant in the room, which is that a lot of this is likely caused by porn addiction and early porn exposure, at least on the male side. Again, I don't think it's everybody, but probably a good rule of thumb for being able to tell which ones are the porn addicts is to just look at all the activists who are trying to force-feed gender ideology on everyone.
My pronouns aren't preferred, they are mandatory. Do not purposefully misgender trans people. You do not get to decide how someone identifies. My pronouns aren't preferred, they are mandatory.
Why do all these people have to sing? But nothing's going to make me want to misgender a person more than saying pronouns are mandatory. Do any of them understand the tiniest amount of human psychology? Bullying seems to be their primary strategy with everything, and the LGB part of the acronym is upset with them too, because not only is bullying horrendous PR for gay people, but also on the dating apps, just like how trans women will not disclose that they are trans on the straight apps, they often will not disclose that they are trans on the gay apps either when they're trying to date lesbians, and they've been trying to use intimidation to get women to date them.
I know you think you've got good reasons, maybe you do. But transphobia is transphobia, and you won't get a pass when we're through. We're human beings, not sex organs, cis lesbians, I'm talking to you.
Yeah, lesbians don't want them either. It would be nice if the cultural narrative amongst the trans group was to stick to people who want them and stop trying to trick everyone who's outside of that group, but maybe that's too much to ask of the average wokie. Now, going back to what that lady was saying about her gender being a fetish costume, I can see how it's off-putting to see tons of people playing pretend and publicly engaging in woman face.
Day one of being a girl, and I have already cried 3 times. I wrote a scathing email that I did not send. And then when someone asked me how I was, I said, I'm fine, when I wasn't fine.
These are the people who will say that blackface is offensive. I can also imagine how it's off-putting to watch how many of these people are essentially engaging in stolen valor by pretending to have menstruation cycles and demanding that they get sympathy for something that they don't actually have to experience.
Okay, sweetie, so apparently you're not wanting to understand or listen. I can tell you right now, my period I experience every month is very real, very valid, and very painful. But you know what? You go ahead and keep invalidating trans women. You go ahead and keep telling them that their experience is not real. Because if that makes you feel like a real woman, if that makes you feel so big and important, sweetie, then you go do it.
I mean, if I were a woman, I sure as hell would think the first person who I would want to be lectured by about womanhood is a man in a dress who is pretending to know what a menstrual cycle is like and saying that you have to participate in that or you're a bigot. Especially as every mentally ill pink-haired person is calling you slurs and saying that you're evil for not wanting to be called a slur.
Being a cis woman is not an insult. That is one of the stupidest things that I've ever heard in my entire life. The only people who have a problem with it are people who are ignorant or hateful. And if you're ignorant about it, someone educates you about it, and you continue to be ignorant about it, then you are just a hateful person. Being cis just means that you are cisgender, which means that you are the gender you were assigned at birth. It just differentiates from trans people. You're a cis woman. Deal with it. Live with it. Be a better human being.
It's a slur, and it's always been used as a slur against people who disagree with trans ideology. Just listen to the vitriol on how they say the word cis white male. The fact that you say that I'm a bad person for not agreeing with you only proves my point that cis is a slur, because the correct term is normal. So as I said, women are pissed about this.
I'm not a cis woman, I'm a woman. You say trans women are women, but then women become cis women as if we're a subtype of our own sex. And then you have the audacity to drag the very women that you're trying to emulate. How is that not the most misogynistic, patriarchal logic imaginable? How is it that my identity suddenly just needs a prefix? Why do women have to shift their language, their boundaries, their spaces, so everyone else can feel comfortable except actual woman? If a woman says, hey, I'm not comfortable with this, suddenly she's the problem? I don't need a new label to describe what I've always been.
Right, I'm not cis either, I'm normal. And no one's happy to be around trans activists when they're constantly trying to erase the existence of anyone who's not caught up in their game. Why would you want to be in a relationship with someone who acts like that?
Difference between cis and biological women. Biological women, quote unquote, it's an outdated term. It doesn't mean much of anything. Biological women puts down trans people.
Denying reality because you're offended is literally the definition of being mentally ill. Also, the LGBT people who are not deranged don't give a shit about any of this. They just want to be left alone. That's what gay rights was originally about. Now gay rights is about demanding people participate in your fetish. Also, shouldn't this guy be on a registry or something for filming in the women's bathroom with children present? Speaking of registries, considering that these people are so insistent on forcing their way into everyone else's spaces, another consideration for long-term relationships is, are you safe to have around kids? And from my perspective, there is so much sexually inappropriate behavior from these people that the answer is largely no.
We will not let fear win. A world without trans people has never existed. A world without drag has never existed, and it never will. Queer people have always been here amongst us. Drag is art, drag is culture, drag is educational, drag is creative, drag is comedy, but drag is not a crime.
They're still fighting to do sexually inappropriate drag shows for kids. I don't know why these people haven't been arrested.
I won't change your little town. Your own children will. Your children will see us. Your children will love us. And your children will join us.
I don't think I've seen a clearer admission of intent to groom kids. How is it that there are so many of these people caught on camera doing stripper dances in front of a very young audience and none of them go to jail? It's like how they won't give any prison time to the guy who's committed like 80 felonies. There really has been zero punishment for any of these people doing this stuff in front of kids. Well, there has been some momentum on that, I guess. A bill banning medically transitioning kids just passed the House of Representatives. Hopefully it gets signed into law. This should have been done years ago. All this weird stuff around kids has to stop.
I'm a student at Martin Luther King High School and I run on the cross country team. So I'm constantly affected by these actions that have taken place this season. And I have been around the females and just my team in general who have felt almost silenced to speak out about it. And it is not okay that I have to be in a position where I'm going to practice and having to see a male in booty shorts and having to see that around me. As a 16-year-old girl, I don't find that as a safe environment. I don't at all. And going into a locker room and seeing males in there, I don't find that safe. I don't find going to the bathroom safe when there's guys in there. It's not okay. I'm a 16-year-old girl. There's girls around me where we do not feel safe having boys in our environment. And it isn't okay. It isn't okay to have them on our team.
Right, it's not okay. These kids are just trying to go to school and live out their lives, and you're trying to force some shit in there that doesn't belong, followed by calling the kids hateful or evil for feeling uncomfortable about something that should make them feel uncomfortable. The whole idea that impressionable kids should have to be regularly taught and exposed to any of this stuff is ridiculous. Also, what a coincidence that LGBT identification has increased around the same time they started force-feeding this stuff into schools. And look at the age group that it's increasing in. Even Hassan Piker's dog isn't shocked by these stats. I mean, dating is already hard enough. Why are you pushing these kids to grow up as sterile adults that very few people will want to be in a long-term relationship with because they can't have kids? Don't the people promoting this stuff go on Reddit? Like, the #1 complaint from the child-free Reddit is that they can't find long-term relationship partners because they don't want kids. I also find all of this particularly messed up when the cure for most of these kids' gender dysphoria is just letting them go through puberty. Medically transitioning minors should be punishable with life in prison or worse. Not to mention the mental health issues that come along with transitioning. Another big reason why these people are having trouble finding long-term relationships is because statistically, they have numerous mental health issues that no one wants to deal with because instead of going to therapy, they took HRT. I have yet to see evidence that gender-affirming care fixes mental health issues, and I think that activists telling these people that a surgery will fix their bipolar disorder or their borderline personality is highly immoral. Really, if you want to fix mental health problems, then you need a team of people around you who will be honest and not enable your pathological behaviors, which is why the whole idea of preaching delusion about how other people feel about things like the dating market and then calling them hateful Nazis for voicing their opinions is only going to make people's mental health worse. Well, as I said earlier, maybe that's the point. But the cruelest thing that you can do to someone who is mentally ill is be dishonest. Many people get stuck in things like addictions for years or decades because nobody will tell them the truth. Like I said, if you're an adult, do what you want. It's your life, but no one should be forced to participate. Anyway, thanks for watching. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you in the next video.